to give his homage to a person whom we are all honoring here, Your Excellency.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor. Distinguished visitors who are here today, other Kenyans who have come to celebrate the life of a great lady. I'm usually used here when I'm addressing people here to say comrades power. But I don't know whether these ones are comrades or not. But I thought that this function was going to take place tomorrow. But I then just was told that, oh, it's taking place today. So I rushed because it's something that I could never have missed. And because since Micere passed on, a lot has been said about her. And I was just thinking, I put some points down. What do I say about this lady? I said, my key points are: one, a leading scholar, political activist on democracy in Kenya and social justice throughout the world. First female Dean of Faculty of Arts, University of Nairobi. Decorated academic, distinguished professor at Syracuse University in New York, leading global feminist, leading thinker on black consciousness and the fight for racial justice, writer, thinker, denationalized by Moi, but regained her citizenship through the fight of other Kenyan patriots like Sir Paul Micere. Exiled for fighting against repression. I saw her last time we were together with her at Buffalo in New York when I was invited by Professor Makao Mutua, who also sent his greetings, to give a commencement address at the Buffalo Law School, State University of New York. At that time, I met her with her two daughters. Then one, Jerry, who is now deceased, and the other one, Mumbi. That was in Buffalo. I was also there with my wife, Ida, my daughter, Rosemary. I was there with Honorable James Orengo, who is now the governor of Siaya, and Madam Sally Kosgei. And we had gone there. But life of Micere Mugo is a life of dedication and commitment. She has made a great contribution to the liberation of people. He was a fighter for women's rights. She was also a fighter for human rights in our country. And because of this, she paid very dearly. Now, in the audience here, you can see my colleagues in the trenches. Some of them, now you can say, retired but not tired. You can see Attorney General, Chief Justice Emeritus, William Mutunga. You can see Ngotho Kariuki seated there. These are people who have paid a great price in the liberation of this country. I am not talking in the Taifa Hall for the first time. I've talked here so many times. In fact, I used to give lectures to students in this hall here. But this Taifa Hall has witnessed some of the greatest speeches that have been made in this country. But there was a time when people like us could not come to Taifa Hall. It was like a no-go zone for people like us. That era is, you can't say it is past, because they say the more things change, the more they remain the same. So we must pay tribute to people like Micere and Mugo for what they've done in our country. She did many things. She has helped very many Kenyans who are in problems. But she has remained very firm, and you read her writings. She has remained very committed and dedicated to the cause of emancipation of our society. We had gone through very difficult times. There's a time when academic freedom in this university was completely gone. Many lecturers were arrested and taken to detention, basically because of what they thought. I remember the time before my arrest myself, Willie Mutunga was in detention. Mukaru Nganga was in detention. Alamin Mazrui was in detention. Edward Oyugi Akongo was in detention. Katamu Mukangi, detention. Quite a number of lecturers from the University of Nairobi were incarcerated, basically because of their consciousness. There was no academic freedom here in this country. And that is what actually compelled other people to rise up and struggle for change in this country. It was not easy. Lives were lost. There was a time when people would be arrested in this town, taken to Nyayo House, and thrown from the window of 23rd floor onto the streets. And then they would go and say that they had committed suicide. Those are the dark days that this country has been through. So what you're saying, what has been can be again. And that if Kenyans do not rise up and defend the democratic space that was opened up at a great price, they ran a risk of actually going back to where we came from. The serious risk was going back to where we came from. We have seen blunted disrespect of human life. We have seen blood in the last few days. Innocent Kenyans exercising their democratic right to protest against high cost of living, being shot like rats, and some of them being shot at the back, shot at the head, shot at the chest, and at their groins. And then we see other people actually praising the police for doing a good job. That's where we're going to. So that's why I'm saying that the more things change, the more they remain the same. That if Kenyans do not rise up and defend this democratic space, we are sliding back to where we came from. Days of detention without trial might come back to our country. So Kenyans have a historical duty to defend the freedom which we won at a great cost. Kenyans have historical duty to do it, and it is the duty of the younger generation to do it. Just imagine a lady born in Kenya, educated in Kenya, coming back to work at the university in Kenya, and being denationalized to go and live as a refugee in Zimbabwe and acquiring Zimbabwean citizenship. And somebody had to go to court to fight for Micere to get back her Kenyan nationality. Joke at that. That is where we've come from. And if we don't fight to defend this space, it is not going to be Raila Odinga. Raila may be here today and will not be there tomorrow. What we are doing for the younger generation, those who are coming. And that's the reason why we say, in memory of Micere Mugo, let Kenyans rise up and stand firm in defense of democracy. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Raila Odinga. I will now request you to go back to your seats so that we proceed with the program. Thank you very much. All right, we'll proceed with the program as they go down the steps. The next set of speakers is colleagues who worked with Professor Micere Mugo in the University of Nairobi. We have Professor Ngodho Kariuki and Professor Eda Gashukia. I will request Professor Ngodho Kariuki to come to the stage. Professor Ngodho Kariuki was Dean, Faculty of Commerce, at the same time when Professor Micere was the Dean, Faculty of Arts. So he will speak briefly about that. We also have Professor Eda Gashukia, who taught with Professor Micere in the Department of Literature. We have a pre-recorded message. I hope ICT will be able to play that. But for now, since Professor Ngodho is here, we will immediately request him to come and speak to us about his experience with Mwalimu Micere when they were both deans. Professor Ngodho Kariuki, please.
Good afternoon,